Hey, happy Thursday, everyone, and welcome back to the I-5 Corridors Traffic Report. Tyson Alger here, joined by Justin Myers. It is week 5 of the college football season, which means, Justin, it's Penn State week.
It is Penn State week. We made it. We're here. We're finally here.
That's the big thing for us to talk about this episode, but we have a little bit of news to share.
Very exciting stuff.
We're a little bit different with our routine to start this episode, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, anybody that has watched the YouTube version of this podcast or has just listened knows that I go through a massive amount of coffee.
You do.
In the hour and change that we spend recording this. And the word must have gotten out that not only this podcast was fueled by good vibes and hot takes, but fueled by a good amount of caffeine. So we're very, very pumped for a new show sponsor. Yeah,
so this week for Penn State Week, we are brought to you by Water Avenue Coffee Company, and they have a new line of Oregon Ducks specific roasts coming out on the market this week, Justin, for you to try in your coffee mug over there. We have a fourth quarter fuel, an early bird blend, Quack Attack roast, and for you Grateful Dead fans out there, there is also a new limited edition tie-dye bag, which is available at Water Avenue's cafes, Duck Store in Eugene, market of choice. It's awesome. It's great coffee. They are not only supporting the corridor, they're supporting the Oregon Ducks with sales for these. If you use our code Corridor10, you can get 10% off your first purchase at OregonDucksCoffee.com.
Yeah, I'm rocking the fourth quarter fuel, and again, we're in the first quarter of this podcast, but I feel like I'm coming with fourth quarter energy, to right out of the gate.
Yeah, which is kind of nice because the Ducks were playing pretty good in the fourth quarter against Oregon State. That first quarter?
First quarter, not so much.
What was your worry factor when it was 7-7 at the end of the first quarter? Game?
It was, on a scale of 1 to 10, it was a 2. I'll give it a 2.
Yeah.
For a moment, because I think every fan kind of goes through this thought process, is like, is this the one? Is this the clunker? Is this the one where it's like, okay, Oregon State literally has nothing to lose. We spent half the show last week talking about, is Trent Bray going to get fired after this game? Is it going to be that bad? Oregon, well, I think Dan Lanning is one of the best in the country at keeping his team focused and on task per week. You can't not look ahead to Penn State. Like, you can't not just think about what could be on the horizon and what is set up with the battle in Happy Valley. And so for a moment there at 7-7, I was like, is this going to be the game? Like, is this going to be the one where there's going to be stupid turnovers, silly penalties, maybe a special teams blunder? And so I was probably at a 2.
Yeah.
But then I feel like the fake punt, that, are we sure if it was fake or not?
It was basically had an option on it, if you will.
Okay.
It was kind of like the 2-point conversions. If you like the look, you have permission to go for it.
It kind of felt like that was the point where, no, it's not. And obviously things had progressed at that point, but there was always like, is this going to be that one game?
I think if anything, I had just more of a good for you, Oregon State. Your coach is going to survive this week. It's not 28-0 at the end of the first quarter. You put together a couple drives. I didn't see any snaps that flew over anybody's heads in this game, so that was progress for them. But it was one of those drives, especially where after they don't end the Northwestern game super well, and Lanning's talking about the lack of a killer instinct.
Yeah.
You can talk a little bit about the run game defense in that Northwestern game too, and then you get to Oregon State, and all of a sudden this team that we've spent a week talking about how they're smaller and less talented and they don't have the depth, they were able to put together, I think it was like a 13-play, 68-yard touchdown drive where you just go, all right, we haven't seen that against the Ducks quite yet this year. And obviously Oregon was able to counter in the sense that I think of the, let's say it was like 55 total rushing yards Oregon State had in that game. I think 10 of them came after that drive the rest of the game. So they were able to fix things really quickly, which I think is good to see. But again, we head into this Penn State week, and I still don't think we know any more about this Oregon team than we've kind of established throughout the first 4 weeks of the season, where they beat an FCS team. They beat a team that is now coachless. They won.
Yeah.
Sia Gundy. They won on the road at essentially a practice facility. And so it's going to be quite the step up in degree of difficulty when all of a sudden you're on the road across the country, 100,000 people, wide out, college game day. Am I top six? Man, those damn AP voters.
I know.
They couldn't just bump Oregon up one spot just so we could say top 5 game.
So think
of us. You know,
I've always had like a little bit of a conspiracy theory when it came to the AP voters. Now you have been one, not in football, but you were an AP voter in basketball, which is a little bit different because it's not like the
there's no death threats in the hoops poll. It's more just like we know how to hurt you.
Gotcha.
It's a difference.
But also, like, yes, the hoops poll, it's a once a week poll, but it's not as formulaic, right? Everybody plays on Saturday for the most part in football. You get the scores, you do your chutes and ladders in your poll, and then you submit it on Sunday, and then Monday comes your inbox flooded with the crazies. But I've always kind of had like that conspiracy theory that like there is a battle between the AP poll and the networks. And like the networks want a battle of top 5s or number 1 versus number 2. And I'm sure it's not true, but that's always been kind of one of my... that's weird how that works out that way.
I mean, maybe we just do a full investigative episode here in the future where you just cold call every AP voter and be like, what do you have it against Fox?
Because it is the only power that the AP poll has left, right? The AP poll...
And it disappears come week, 6, 7, when the playoff rankings come out?
The AP poll used to be everything we lived and died with in college football. It decided the national championship. There was a time it decided the national championship before they even played the bowl games. They were just like, hey, you're the national title. We got Christmas and New Year's. We can't be worried about voting on this afterwards. And then now that there is a playoff, and then the College Football Playoff Committee, who does their weird rankings every week, which do follow very closely what the AP poll does. But like the only bit of power that the AP poll has is it can set up early season marketing for the networks. And every once in a while I wonder, like, are they messing with the poll a little bit just to kind of like ABC would love for this game to be number 2 versus number 3 or 3 versus 5 or battle of top 5s. 3 versus 6 still very good, but so it was my little conspiracy theory that I've always had that the AP poll like holds on to their little bit of power of like not yet networks.
It's funny to me because top 10 actually sounds sexier to me than top 6. Top 6 seems like you're making top 6 sounds like you're really wanting to say top 5.
Yeah.
But you just can't. Like top 10's a little bit more inclusive while still having one of those kind of even sexy numbers in there.
It's like it's when you get to like my age, right? Your birthday's like it's the 0s and the 5s.
Right.
That's all that matters, right? Like, yeah, it's a battle.
You're not coming to my 36th birthday party next month. It's during the bye week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it on a weekday?
It might be. We'll talk later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it? Do I got to cross a bridge?
Is it on the 2nd this year? I think it's on the 2nd this year. Yeah.
But like you get like at some point you're just like, look, it's the 0s and the 5s. Like that's the one. But yeah, like top 10 sounds a whole lot better than a battle of top 6 teams because it's like, would you ever get like a Lego set when you were a kid? It was like over 123 pieces. Like so, it's 124.
It's 124. Yeah.
Well, like, and you counted
if you're going that specific with the numbers, yeah.
And you counted the stickers. Like I get it. Like you counted the decals as pieces to this Lego set, but clearly it's not. But no, it's a big game. This is huge. Like for a September matchup, on the road in like everything that you set up. Like Oregon has as a football program. I'm trying to think what the equivalent would be like the last time they've been in this type of environment, because I know they went to the Big House, but As most people have talked about, like, it's not very. You were there in 21 when they went to the Horseshoe, but like.
That wasn't supposed to be a good Oregon team. Like, there was no expectations of that. There was, like, I think the vast majority of that Oregon fan base was Ohio State's going to win this game. You know, we'll figure out what our season looks like after it. And so that was, and that's not to take anything away from that win. That was a great win for Oregon. But that wasn't a season where I think people were like, okay, you're going to take this win and then propel it towards something else. I think this is a year where people have those, we might be good enough to contend for a national championship feelings. And like, this is the first check mark for that. And so that Ohio State game was big. I'm just kind of going through the list of like big road games I've been to. I mean, and unfortunately, you know, maybe outside of the every other year where Washington was really good, when like that could be. I mean, Washington when it's packed is a tough place to play.
Yes.
It's just kind of over the years it's been inconsistent on how often that place is packed. But around the rest of the Pac-12, it was maybe just like Utah that would be a pretty tough home field. But that, I think that's like 50. Yeah, like this is significantly different, and then you throw the stakes in on top of it. Michigan State in 2015 was pretty big. The Vernon Adams overthrow to Byron Marshall game, but you know that was just a top 10 game. It wasn't a top 6. It was a top 6 game.
Yeah, I mean this is one of the most unique environments that Oregon as a football program will ever play in, because yeah, you're right. Like there are Husky games, like the Husky game a couple years ago, where there was a ton of buildup and it came right down to the wire. But that's when Washington is decent, like that's going to be a tough environment because that's a rivalry game, right? You kind of almost throw that out. And to see the stakes and what a whiteout at Penn State like looks like and what it's going to be like on the field, it's a lot to pack into one football game, which is why I love college football, right? You've had essentially 4 meaningless games, right? Like you mentioned, one coach got fired. The other coach is on the hottest of hot seats. One team isn't even in your division, and
and the other has a bunch of players who are going to be pretty good sports writers in 3 years from now.
Exactly. And they play on a field that Texas high school stadiums would tower over. So you've had and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you're going into what a lot of people believe is one of the toughest environments in football.
So let me ask you a question. When the Ducks joined the Big Ten, Oregon fans automatically go, okay, our new big rival is Ohio State. There's some history there. They've played back and forth, and then, or maybe you shift and go, especially when the Ducks joined the conference, it's Michigan. They just won the national title. That's who we want to compare ourselves to. I don't think there was a whole lot of front of mind consideration of Penn State initially in that merger, but here we are. You're about to play the second game between these two teams. Both of them have been incredibly meaningful. I think Oregon and Penn State sneakily has the potential to turn into something spicy here for the next few years, because if you think about it, Penn State's been this team that's always been kind of a pretty good B+ Big Ten program since they joined in the early 90s, but they're not Ohio State's rival. They're not Michigan's rival. They're not Wisconsin's rival. Like, their big rival was Pitt, and that's different conferences and different eras. Penn State's just kind of this team that's sitting there going like we're ready. Like we want some hatred. And if you're them, they should hate the Ducks. Like, Penn State had finally, under Franklin, positioned itself to like maybe emerge from the Ohio State Michigan shadow. Like they have a program that's built up, especially this year. They were able to keep a lot of key pieces from a playoff team last year. But here's this new team again from the West Coast that joined the conference late. That's just going like, oh no. Like this is where we're supposed to be on the ladder. You guys are down here, and you play this game. There's a chance that they could play again later in the year. Like, all of a sudden, like, it's Penn State's becoming incredibly familiar.
The interesting part about this game is like there is the perception and then there's the reality, which is the thing about college football that I always love. Like, the reality is this is not a must-win game anymore. It'd be a nice win game, but Ohio State proved last year that you get hot in the postseason. It doesn't matter if you drop that heartbreak. Like, Ohio State lost 2 absolutely embarrassing games. One where they literally ran out of time against Oregon, and then all the antics that happened against Michigan, and still won the national title.
Right.
Like they were two games where, like, at that level, not a fireable offense, but it was not a comfortable time for Ryan Day.
I mean, I think if you would have polled national media a couple days after, I think everyone thought that Ryan Day was going to be gone.
And they were still able to win the national title, because that's where we are in college football now. It is more like the NFL than this old college football fan ever wanted it to be, but it's true. So there's the reality that, if Oregon goes and they lose this game, they're fine. They're going to be fine. The rest of their schedule still sets up really well. Indiana's probably the toughest game after this on your schedule. You get them at home. Iowa doesn't look as gnarly as maybe it did in the summer. Clearly, Wisconsin doesn't. They've got their own. I don't know who else on the schedule makes you go like, ooh. Like at Washington, because it's a rivalry game, and Damon Williams is kind of becoming an electric player.
He's pretty good.
But I still don't think they have the depth yet. But and I hate that about kind of where we are. Like, the masochist in me is like, no, life and death in late September, like it should be in college football. But if you don't, then you're fine. That's the reality. But then there's the perception is we still have this magical thing of like, you got to go undefeated. You don't, but you got to go undefeated. And if you win this, what does it mean? Could you be, if Oregon beats Penn State on the road, do they leapfrog Ohio State? Are we back to being the number one team in the nation?
Moore, the Heisman front runner.
Clearly.
Which, by the way, some more things have happened in the last week that continue to bolster that premise.
Oh boy. Things are looking good.
Yeah.
Need a real good game this Saturday. But yeah, it's like the reality is you don't have to win this game, but there's still kind of that perception in college football where you live and die by each week. And so from that perspective, it is a massive game. Plus, you're always recruiting, right? It's my big beef with like professional sports leagues is like, do we have to make everything about gambling, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, we got to review plays because of gambling. Robot umpires because of gambling. Injury list. Oh, it's because of gambling. It's like, and in college football, it's like, do we have to make everything about recruiting? Yeah, we do, because it's all there is, and recruiting is more important than ever now. And if you win this game, you get such a recruiting advantage because everybody is going to be talking about you.
Is there a lot more at stake in this game for Penn State than Oregon? Because as you just outlined, you can lose a game, your season can still be fine. It's not the end of the world. If you're Penn State, though, you had the offseason where everyone's talking about all the players who are coming back. You have the same coach who has built this program to a certain point but hasn't quite been able to. It'd be like Dan Lanning 8 years from now if he still just kept getting clipped by a Washington or whoever. I don't think anyone expected. I don't think there was any pressure on Oregon before this season started to you have to go into Penn State with all these new players and a young, inexperienced quarterback and all these guys and go in and win and that tough. I think Oregon still gets somewhat of a pass for that, even though the expectations have ratcheted up over the last 3 to 4 weeks. But Penn State, you're hosting this team. You're hosting a team that, as we established, has come into your conference and is trying to position itself above you. And you have a coach who. I think the fan base, it's kind of typical college football cycle where you win a bunch of games during the regular season, everyone's super happy, and then you lose a couple towards the end, and it's like, is this the guy? Mm-hmm. Like if Penn State loses this game, like the is this the guy questions are going to continue to be popping up out there.
It's interesting you brought that up because I have something I'm going to ask you in a moment, but let's stay on James Franklin for a moment. Yeah, the stakes are so high for Penn State because if James Franklin wins this big game, it'll be his first. You know what I mean? Like, he has done a tremendous job at Penn State, a school, let's be perfectly honest, that should have been dead.
Yeah.
We're not that far away from you know what.
Yeah.
We shall not even bring up. But, they got the closest thing to the death penalty we've seen since SMU. And the fact that they're back, and it's a lot because of what James Franklin has done, is a huge accomplishment. But again, that's not how we live in football. It's what have you done for me lately? And he's hung around just long enough to where he's got a thing now, right? It's what is it? Nick Saban says, I want players with ands, not buts. And what he means by that is when you talk about him, you say, yeah, this guy plays his tail off and he's a great student. The buts are, oh yeah, this guy, he can get 15 sacks a year, but he takes some plays off. James Franklin has created a butt, which is great coach, built a program, but he can't really win the big game. But he hasn't won the conference. You know what I mean? So that's his butt. I mean, maybe that could be the name of the episode. That's his butt. That's his butt. I can just see your sports writer brain. Oh no,
I'm just trying to figure out how I can transition this into Cal Raleigh hitting 58 home runs. And speaking of like butts,
yeah, we'll get to that in a moment.
Big dumper. It's his nickname.
But that's where James Franklin. I don't think there is anything that Oregon fans have with Dan Lanning that's anywhere close to that. It's still too new. The Ohio State win last year kind of got over the can he win the big game. He has built a program that is superior to Washington as we sit. That was the other big worry, right? Couldn't beat Washington, couldn't win the big game, but
what if Penn State does to Oregon what Ohio State did in the Rose Bowl, and then it's like two big, like your last two big national platform games? Just what happened? Like what if something like that happens this week? What's the conversation around Dan, or is it more of a conversation around the coordinators?
It's interesting. I mean,
and I'm not predicting this by any stretch of the imagination.
I don't think so either. But I think the answer to that is like what happens then the rest of the season, right? Do they then bounce? Do they do like Ohio State, right, and bounce back and get themselves into a playoff and figure it out? Then it smooths everything over. If you get like a devastating, embarrassing loss again, the worst part about the Rose Bowl was then you had
9 months.
You didn't have another week to come back from it, and so I think having, even though next week is the bye week and you get Indiana at home, I think the answer to that question is what would happen the rest of the season. But I still think way more pressure is on James Franklin, which is why I wanted to bring up this question. As we sit here right now, before Oregon plays this game, I thought about this because we mentioned Mike Gundy was fired this week. There was a time after the I'm a man, I'm 40, before the I don't want to do NIL, where you'd be like, Oklahoma State, would you give this guy a lifetime contract? And they're like, yeah.
It's kind of like Kyle Whittingham-esque.
Yeah. This is our guy. We don't need anybody else. Yeah, he wears a mullet and he's a little quirky, but you know what? He's our quirky guy, and we love him. Well, he's been fired. There was a point 10 years ago where if you'd ask Clemson fans, anybody better than Dabo, and they'd be like, absolutely not. Give that guy a lifetime contract. And they kind of did. His $60 million buyout. So my question is, other than Kirby Smart at Georgia, is there a college football fan base that if you said you could have your guy or you could have Dan Lanning, that would say, no, we're going to keep our guy, including Ohio State? The only team I could think of that would be, no, we're good with our guy. The only team I could think of would be Kirby Smart at Georgia. Maybe Kiffin, maybe Sark, but
No. Both those programs.
You think Ole Miss? Dan Lanning at Ole Miss. So
I think both those programs would take Dan in a heartbeat over who they currently have. There's no butts with Dan. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of butts with Sark. There's a lot of butts with Kiffin. I mean, essentially, because one of the most attractive things with Kiffin is just like, okay, he's this not so young anymore, but young hotshot coach who's good at recruiting and good at kind of connecting with younger players and kids and that sort of like. Kiffin's got so much baggage. Like Dan's got all of those things where he can, if Dan wants to be on ESPN radio tomorrow, he can. Like he's got that sort of profile to him to where like he's never at a lack of getting exposure out there. And then you mix in the fact that he has a national championship at Georgia as a defensive coordinator. He's won like 86% of his games at Oregon as a first-year head coach. I think other than Kirby, you're right. And that's not to say I don't think Dan's the second best coach in the country, but it's kind of like that. If you were to blow everything up and start from square one, like who would your coach or player be? And I think Dan's right at the top of that list.
Ironically, and we'll see what happens the rest of the season. Cristobal at Miami, I think, is starting to turn the corner with that fan base. He's got him in the top 5. He's kind of building them up the way he kind of.
If we could get an Oregon-Miami playoff matchup, that would be so damn fun. It would be so fun. And if I was Mario, I would just throw the shit out of the ball too, just to troll everybody.
But like, there was a time not that long ago where if you asked Miami, it's like, hey, you could have Dan Lanning, would you take it? And I think, again, other than Kirby Smart at Georgia, it's because it's Saban retired. Dabo has fallen on hard times because he refuses to adapt to new college football. Even though he's the defending national champion, I still don't know if Ohio State fans are all that, secure with Ryan Day. Certainly not Sherrone Moore at Michigan.
Right.
Like, Venables at Oklahoma, no.
I don't think anybody really likes Brian Kelly, even if they're doing better this year.
Yeah, exactly. It was just something I thought of like, with Dabo essentially on a hot seat, Gundy is fired, Saban is retired. Like, coach satisfaction quotient, right? Of like, if 100 is completely set. It's like a survey, like, how satisfied were you with your service, Mr. Alger? Unbelievably satisfied, somewhat satisfied. Like, Oregon fans are on 10. So are Georgia fans, but I don't know if there's another team in the country has as high of a satisfaction level with their coach as Oregon fans.
There are probably 5 days in the last 4 years where Oregon's satisfaction level with Lanning hasn't been at 100%, and that's the 2 Washington losses, the Ohio State loss, and probably the Atlanta Georgia loss, which was expected. But outside of all of those, which the Washington losses hurt for a bit, but I don't think anybody was doing the like fired. I think it was too early in Lanning's tenure for people to be too upset about that for him. But outside of that, like, the very next day you go and sign X level recruit. It's just all the other days he's just bagging wins, like, especially with this fan base that is so like recruiting conscientious. Like, this fan base loves recruiting more than anything. You can look at the numbers on any website, but then he plays to the fan base too. Like, he knows what riles Oregon fans up. You get those Ducks versus M's videos. He's performing a little bit. He knows, and so it's outside of those 4 direct losses, Lanning's been an avalanche of a win for the program, not only just from a success, but just from a fan base buy-in. And I don't know who else around the country is close to that. I did want to ask you though, just because you brought him up, how were we feeling about Cristobal after the Rose Bowl in 2020? Was it, you just built this program back from 4-8. You just won a Rose Bowl in Los Angeles with an Oregon quarterback and an Oregon safety, and it's Justin Herbert tucking the ball and running with that big smile on his face and the sunset reflecting off the chrome. That was a pretty big high point for the Ducks, and I think everyone was darn near bought in on Marco Cristobal at that point. Like, how it's hard for me to kind of pull back, and just because I've been deep with both of them, but like, is Lanning that far ahead of where Cristobal was before Cristobal started getting flighty?
I think he's a little bit ahead. I think To me, the peak of Cristobal wasn't the Rose Bowl. It was the championship game against Utah. Because you got to the Rose Bowl, but Ohio State and Michigan weren't there. They were both in the playoff, if I'm not mistaken. So you got the third place Big Ten team. But, like, you crushed the dreams of Utah. And the whole thing of, like, Whittingham teams are tough. You can't out-tough them. And Oregon went in there and out-toughed them that day. And I was like, I think most Oregon fans were like, yep, we got our guy. Going to lose Herbert. That stinks. But you know what? Cristobal's here. We also didn't know about this whole other thing that was going to show up in about March.
Right.
What a different time.
I can't taste anything.
It's so weird. Yeah, I still don't think, though, at that time, and I think the reason why it's so unique right now is if you would have said when Oregon won that Rose Bowl, how many teams across the country would be like, we need Cristobal, or we would take that guy over our current guy? There were probably 10 guys that were probably ahead of him, whereas like now, Lanning is like he's the hottest girlfriend. Like outside of Kirby Smart in Georgia.
Because Cristobal could do one very reliable thing for you. He could come into a program and he could get a lot of talented players into that program. Mm-hmm. He did that. He's done that basically his entire career, and that's why Miami has finally started to turn a corner a little bit, because turns out in the last 4 years he hasn't just been sitting on his hands not calling timeouts. He has been recruiting. But I think with Lanning there's just a little bit more of a leader of a program factor to it, of just like we like this guy as our figurehead of Oregon, and he's a lot better at kind of the wide range of things that come with that.
He has the very unique ability of one being a guy that you seem like you could go and hang out with him and have a beer, but also knowing that you can't. You can't. Yeah. He is a superstar college football coach. He is untouchable. He is.
When you're making $10 or $10 million a year and you go to a bar and you get like a $7 beer, do you think that guy ever goes like, God, beers are getting expensive?
They are, man. What's going on with inflation?
Yeah.
He's at the gas tank. But that's
ethanol.
But it's we don't do politics, but that's the best politicians are the ones that make you believe that they're your buddy, that you could, if he was we hang out and have a great time. And I think most Oregon fans, myself included, I'm delusional enough to think that, certain circumstances I could be Dan Lanning's friend. Will never be, but I think that's where he's at. Cristobal, I don't know if ever really had that moxie or charm. Which is kind of an X factor.
Yeah.
When you're building up a program, especially now where you have the ability to go out and pay for guys and bring guys in, and the recruiting opportunities are bigger than ever at Oregon, because it used to be like, okay, yeah, but you can't recruit the entire country because kids will come, they get homesick. And I was like, 10, 15 grand will cure homesickness real quick. Real quick.
What do you think happens?
I think Penn State is going to try to do what Northwestern did, which is limit possessions, grind it out. I think this turns into a good old-fashioned Big Ten slugfest. And I think Oregon wins by a field goal, but it's uncomfortable the entire time. But I'm a biased homer, so I'm probably the last person you should ask. I mean, because what was the line? What did it open up at? I think it was like 3.5. Yeah. Where was it? 3.5. Oregon plus 3.5. And I'm like, hammer that all day. Bet the more, but I'm a homer. That's why I'm glad I'm not allowed to bet on college football in the state of Oregon. But it just seemed like 3.5. I felt like this is like a 1.5 or a pick'em game. But I have the bad habit of assigning things to uniforms, right? And I just assume Penn State uniforms have a certain magical quality that when they get into a close game, that
the neck gets a little tight.
Exactly right. None of those like a handful of those guys were in the Big Ten championship game last year, but you think of all those games that we put onto James Franklin, like none of these guys were playing in those games, but those uniforms were. Those uniforms are magic. And so just subscribing kind of that uniform magic, I think Oregon pulls out the win. But I'm also delusional, Tyson. I think that Oregon wins every game.
I think I'm becoming a little delusional, though, too, because at the start of the year, I thought that was probably 80% chance Penn State wins it.
Yeah.
I'm down more in like Oregon 60%, Penn State 40%. And it's just, we've seen a lot of check marks with this offense, which was the biggest question for me going forward. I like that they can spread the ball out a ton. I mean, I think another 10 players caught passes on Saturday. But at the same time, too, you play in these games, you need some guys that can just break plays. And between DeCorian Moore and Kenyon Sadiq, that's as two of good of weapons as I can remember out of Oregon. I mean, Tez Johnson was incredible, but it was kind of a different type of, the way DeCorian's able to just essentially win while not being a huge sizable receiver, the way that he's able to adjust on like downfield balls and kind of just like body position and shield himself and make catches is pretty dang impressive. And then Sadiq is just like, just give him the ball and tell him to go. Like he's, this was his big coming out party last year with that hurdle that he had for a touchdown. I would expect to see him to be pretty well featured in this game. But yeah, I just think that balance, I'm a little concerned about the fact that Penn State rushed for 300 yards against them last year, and that hasn't looked like the strongest point for Oregon so far this year. But then when you try to highlight negatives, it's like, okay, well, they are 4-0, and like we're talking about the run game, and last week they gave up like 120 total yards in the entire game. So it's like,
and like how much of those last 4 games was Tosh Lapoy really going like, we are going to win the battle of the line of scrimmage,
and let's throw our most complex looks,
So DeCorian Moore is fascinating to me. And again, prefacing everything by, I said earlier that the first 4 games basically didn't even really count because they ain't played nobody, Paul. But you asked me, I think at the beginning, like it might have been back in August before the season started, about like hype of a freshman coming in. And like the ones that I could think of, like Jonathan Stewart coming in as a true freshman, but then I think his first or second game sprained his ankle and was kind of used sparingly for a little bit, but then ultimately had an unbelievable career. I think of Kayvon Thibodeau coming in as a true freshman, but that was on defense. I mean, he was a game wrecker from day one, but again, that was on defense. Penei Sewell coming in, again, on the offensive line. Like, to have a guy who came in with such hype, and has lived up to it.
Yeah.
And maybe more so. I will say the pessimist in me is going like,
is there nobody else to throw to?
Well, no, potentially, but like also he really likes to stretch the football out around the goal line.
He does.
And it's like, he's going to fumble one. Like, he just is. I hope it's not in a game-defining moment. But he is going to fumble a ball, stretching it out for the pylon, and it's going to go through the end zone, and he's going to have to learn that lesson the hard way because he's done it 3 times this year, and he's gotten away with it, and like even almost been praised because like, oh, look at him stretch the football. Right. It's like, quit stretching the football near the goal line, dude. It's the worst possible place. But other than that, like, he has been as advertised. Like, the fact that, and I know Evan Stewart's not there, and he was kind of supposed to be the next big target, but the fact that you need to play one-on-one, and like you said, like, he has all those little intangibles.
I just think you can see a lot of, and every new quarterback, a new receiver will talk about how much they threw together in the park in the offseason. But
it's true.
We heard a lot about that with these two. We saw a fair amount of footage. I think you can see that a little bit, just in the way the timing on some of like those back, like Dante loves throwing that back shoulder pass, and DeCorian's just eats it up almost every time. It's just you can kind of see a little bit of that just kind of chemistry that I wasn't really expecting between a true freshman and a new starting quarterback like this quick into the season. And those are the type of throws that I think are more challenging, but they're also the ones that, like, okay, it's 3rd and long, 4th quarter, crowd's going crazy. Like those are the degree of difficulty plays that you need to be able to make, and Oregon can do them. And I've been impressed that they're able to mix that with a lot of the simple shit that they've been able to do this season too, because like it's an offense that hasn't created its own errors so far, and I think that's been a big positive. We
hinted at it a little bit earlier, but again, and we even talked about it last week, Dante Moore in the Heisman conversation. Whispers have turned to like conversational tones. Mm-hmm. I think this week.
I feel like a lot of people listen to this pod.
I think so as well. But also like I think the last odds-on leader was John Mateer, and sadly he's injured. He's going to be out.
Cut off his hand.
So he's going to be out a while. Like, Manning and Sellers and, Lagway and like all these dudes that like were supposed to be.
And this game coming up, like Aller hasn't been great so far this year. Like his efficiency's been down. Like this could be a game for him that gets him back into the race. But
it could. But if Dante Moore goes to Happy Valley and has a day, like get ready, because the Dante Moore PR train is coming out hot.
How do you think Oregon fandom responds to they win this game on the road? They'll probably be a number 3, number 2. I doubt they jump to number 1, depending on what happens. Maybe they do, because that will be one of the better road wins of the season. How do you think Oregon fandom responds to if Oregon's number 1 again, midway through the season again, just like last year again? Is it a little bit more apprehension than we're the best team in the world, like let's effing go? Or is it, all right, we saw what happened when we got to the playoff last year. Maybe we'll hold off on like we're number 1.
You're expecting Oregon fans, which I am of them, to handle being ranked number 1 with a little bit of maturity and humility, Tyson?
There's a lot of rhetorical questions that we ask on here. It's setting you up to hit a home run, Justin.
No, we handle it like we always handle it, like a bunch of crazy people. This is still new to us. It's still fairly new. I've always said like Ohio State and Michigan and Alabama, like that is old money. That's second generation money. Oregon, we're tech money bros, right? We still like we wear T-shirts to the boardroom, and
I love that.
Because we're tech bros.
Yeah.
Like it's new billionaires. Yeah. Like we're still not used to this.
Right.
We're still doing weird stuff. And if they especially. Man, if like Ohio State, they don't even have to lose, but if Ohio State ends up in a ball game with Washington and Oregon goes on the road and beats Penn State, like there's a really good chance you can leapfrog Oregon, because all of a sudden voters will be like, wait, Oregon just beat Penn State. What else have they done? Oh, beat the holy hell out of everybody else before. There's a good chance that they're number 1. And then you go into a bye week. Yeah. We handle it like a bunch of drunken sailors, which is inappropriately.
The best possible.
We cannot be trusted with a number 1 ranking.
For the sake of chaos, the best possible thing that can happen this weekend is Washington beats Ohio State. So that way Oregon fans have to temporarily cheer for Washington, because you want Ohio State to lose so Oregon can become number 1. But then that also substantially changes that game 2 days after Thanksgiving when the Ducks go up to Washington, and all of a sudden you're playing the team that beat Ohio State.
Yeah,
I can't imagine Washington fans would like lean into like this is the Ohio State team you guys lost to like back in the Rose Bowl.
Can't imagine that would come up at all.
That's pretty easy, Woof.
But yeah, it's this is what college football is the best, and this is like again, It was sad, like a little bit of like watching the Civil War kind of become what it has become. Like it's a bummer. Like because our phones are speaking of tech bros, like our phones listen to us and they know everything. Mm-hmm. Scrolling through Instagram, and all of a sudden it's like 2013 Civil War highlights, and I was like, I'm watching every one of these. And it was just like,
I know what Josh Huff does at the end.
and I'm like watching it. I'm like, I forgot how awesome of a game this was.
Right.
I forgot how sweet the green and the orange uniforms looked playing against each other.
This weekend sucked from that.
From a visual standpoint, it sucked. From a tribute uniform, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looked weird. But
did you feel weird at all? So they put out the Ducks versus them on Tuesday night, and they have in the meetings or in the locker room, and I give Dan credit that he's trying to like lean into the rivalry, but do you feel bad at all being the billionaire Ducks who are just like, there was a lot of like, this program's not close to it. Yeah. You kind of just go like, we get it. Like, let's soften it a little bit this week. Like it really seems like you're kicking a beaver while it's down, if you will. And this is me being from my out of state perspective, where I don't have a dog I don't have a.
For me, like I have so many years of like dealing with Oregon State fans.
Like you guys won this game by 40. You got to watch the video. Were you still watching it, being like, yeah, like you still suck, like or
yeah, it kind of
okay.
When Bryce Betcher sits at the podium and gives a big brother, little brother speech, which I would say most of the country would feel the mean-spirited about.
Right.
The Oregonian in me was like, damn right. Or excuse me, darn right.
Darn right, thank you.
Because I want to, the beaver dam thing.
Yeah, like.
But I was like, yeah, it's still there a little bit, but it's gone now forever. Like that was the last little bit, and it was kind of sad.
It's just got to be weird for like the 5-star guys on the roster from Texas.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be here for a year. Or they're going to play Oregon State once, and like they're just doing the film look, and it's like these are the guys that are trying to take it, and they're just probably like, what? This 230-pound.
Yeah, type, I know. And you used to like. I've always wondered like how like Rich Brooks like famously spent 10 minutes of every week of practicing for Oregon State. Like that was like his thing. Like it was a rivalry game. So like every Thursday, the last 10 minutes, we're going to practice against Oregon State, even if it's week 2. And Bellotti obviously brought in, like he would bring back players that week and give speeches. And I've always wondered, like, how do you get these kids from at the time, like California and out of state to like care about, this rivalry that, Oregonian doofuses like me care about. And I always like, well, once you step on the field, you can feel it in the stands. And I was in the stands this week, Tyson. You just couldn't feel it. It just wasn't. It wasn't there. The only thing it was a throwback to one of my best tweets, if I do say so myself. But you remember last year, they put like. Duck football Twitter put up road trip, and it was like I-5 North, and I quote tweeted and I said, yeah, personally I'd go 99 through Junction City, but you do you,
right?
And it got some pretty good likes.
Yeah, no, it
got
was
some
good.
pretty good ha-has on there.
You were bathing in the dopamine.
And then I watched Ducks versus them, and Dan Lanning puts up like the Google Maps, and it's like Eugene and Corvallis. 40, we're not very far apart, 38 miles, and it has like the driving directions. They're going I-5 again, and you got to go 99. I know you were playing at home, and I know you're trying to drive a point home, coach, but choose alternate route. Less stops.
It's basically the plot of Cars. They built the freeway, it goes around Junction City.
You got to get through Junction City and Monroe,
Yeah.
Anyways.
Totally. My baseball team's making the playoffs.
Okay, let me ask you this. My dream, I have many dreams. Some I've accomplished, some I haven't, Tyson. But one of my dreams that I'll never get to experience is like what it must be like in a champagne celebration. Mm-hmm. Like it just seems like it's the coolest thing ever. That being said, How do you feel about a champagne celebration for just making the postseason when you're still in a pennant race? And I don't know how much of the champagne they were drinking, but it sure seemed like a party.
Yeah.
Post game, which I get it. You've made the postseason, but like winning the division would be so much better because you remember what happened last time you made the postseason. Now you played 2 games in one that unfortunately ended it, but like. I don't know. I was surprised by the amount of enthusiasm in that champagne celebration.
Are you just worried about the financials? Like, they can afford 2 champagne parties, Justin. They can celebrate making the playoffs. They can celebrate winning the division. They can celebrate winning the ALDS. They can celebrate winning the ALCS.
So many champagne celebrations.
And when they sweep the San Diego Padres in the World Series, they can drink whatever the hell they want after that one.
Understood.
I saw that a bit this morning too, and as established, I'm a long, sad Mariners fan. We haven't had the opportunity to drink a lot of champagne over the years. Over my shoulder to the left is the Seattle Times front page after they clinched in 21. Was that 21? Yeah, in 22. 22. They snapped the 21-year playoff drought. They drank champagne after that one. I think it was also one of the last games of the season, so it kind of
and I don't think the division was in play.
Correct. So there was a bit of me that they clinch. Everyone's going crazy. You're a Mariners fan. You're like, oh my God, I'm still not used to this. So when you see everyone drinking champagne and celebrating in the locker room, you're just like, heck yeah, like those are my boys. Like the vibes are high. But then I was like, they can clinch the division like tonight or tomorrow. Like it's like, boy, and this is a lot of the same.
Do you do it again?
This is the same core that they had with the team that made the playoffs a couple years ago. Like let's not just be happy to make the dance here, boys. Like it could be another 21 years before we make it again. Like let's not be saying that we're satisfied with where we're at quite yet. Just because I think. You're not going to put up a banner for clinched at least a wild card berth on September 23rd. Mm-hmm. I mean, actually, the Mariners might put a banner for that, but
well, it wasn't a financial worry. It was more of like you guys are getting S-faced right now, and you got a game tomorrow, and still in a divisional race. Now, I believe the magic number's down to 1, right? As we sit here recording this, who knows, as people are listening to this, if they have won the division.
The Mariners might be drunk right now as you're listening.
They very well could be drunk right now. And maybe they just sprayed the champagne and said, let's...
Or maybe they have a nice NA for non-clinching.
I don't know, I just saw that, I was like, they're still in a pennant race, but you know what?
Yeah, it's
162 games, a long season, and you make the postseason twice in a lot of fans' lifetime. I guess, yeah, screw it. Pop the corks.
It is kind of funny, like the very varying circumstances of where tradition or like unwritten rules show up. Because, like for instance, in hockey, you don't touch any of those trophies until like you get to the Stanley Cup.
I know,
because you don't care about the Eastern Conference MVP trophy because that's not ultimately your goal. So, maybe they have a progression of cheaper champagnes that escalate up to, like last night.
So it starts with the Cooks.
Yeah, last night they were drinking Cooks, and then you're going to go up to
is it like Andre?
Yeah, and then you might get like a cheaper like sparkling Willamette, like something. And then
even like Costco makes a great makes a great champagne.
Exactly.
You're in Seattle, get that Kirkland signature, baby.
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah. I also wonder, like, because that was a pretty dramatic win they had last night too. They were down 3-1. Josh Naylor hits a double into the gap. They score 3 runs. Mariners win. Well, they had to close out in the 9th. I wonder if it would have just been like a run-of-the-mill, like 10-0, like business-as-usual game. Are you coming back and celebrating quite like that? They had a bullpen guy who blew out his Achilles like a couple weeks ago, basically drunkenly riding his scooter around the base paths, and like the whole the team welcomed him home like he had hit a walk-off home run. It was like
I understand. Like I said.
We need to get Adam Jude on for this. And
if you play game 163, I guess you deserve to kind of as they howl at the moon a little bit. But I just thought like,
I was texting my Mariners friends last night, and it was just a super strange night because I knew they could clinch the playoff going into the day yesterday, but I'm so used to some sort of drama around it of if they don't win this one game, it's the streak. I mean, the streak continues. Or I remember being in the press box at Washington State. I want to say this was 14 or 15. It was one of the years when they had Cano and Cruz, and they got to like game 161 or 162. I was in the press box, and it was just like gutting. And for them to be able to, get into the playoffs on September 23rd, still have a very realistic shot of winning the division, and not have like the, oh my God, like where's the trap door to this? It was a very strange sports fan experience for me, because we've never made it easy ever, except for in 2001 where we made it incredibly easy and then stepped on the biggest rake in the world in the ALCS. I've been using that term a lot.
Step on a rake?
Yeah. Ever since the Northwestern game, it kind of got lodged in the head. And
which reminds me of the Simpsons and Sideshow Bob.
Yeah, that's exactly...
Kept stepping on all the rakes. Yeah.
That's exactly some of Kelsey Grammer's best voice work, I think.
It really was. Okay. I have a couple of things I'd like to get your thoughts on, Tyson. I'm in a dilemma. I'm at a personal crossroads because for most of the things in my life, I've accepted my age. I am in my mid-40s, and, I don't go out late anymore. I enjoy a good night's rest.
And when you need to wake up, you always reach for your Water Avenue Coffee Company's Quack Attack Roast, which is sponsoring the I-5 corridor.
Absolutely. Or the joy of like getting up at like 6 a.m. when you don't have to, and maybe having a breakfast blend. And so, but then there are some things where I go, I'm not that old yet. Here's my example. As we mentioned last week, I went down to Eugene the Friday before Civil War, and I went to Darius Rucker's concert at Matthew Knight Arena. Great concert, by the way. Played 4 Hootie and the Blowfish songs. Let's just say the man knew his audience, right? Tyson, he came on at 8 o'clock and wrapped up the show by 9:30.
Whoa.
And I loved every second of it. But then there's the part of me that is like, wait, am I now the old audience that you have to start the show at 8? Because
were you sitting down the whole concert too?
No, we're still you stand up for the upbeat songs, and then you sit down for the ballads.
That was because the last Blink-182 I went to with like Jeff and Nate and them, we sat the entire time, that's a weird concert to be sitting.
That is a weird concert to sit.
You want to feel old watching a punk rock band from the 2000s. Sit down.
And so, I was lucky that the people behind us were super into the show. So then we're like, all right, sweet. Well, they're up, we're up.
Right.
We're gonna not hurting anybody's view. But am I a guy that now wants, because I've been to concerts where they don't take the stage till 9:30. Am I that guy now? You
might be, but here's the thing. That guy's having a great time.
Yeah.
That guy's not tired. We went to...
Even had a drink after the concert, which is usually unheard of, but it was 9:30.
See, I like that opportunity, because you go to a concert, you don't actually get to talk a whole lot at a concert. It's loud. It's nice to go see and then maybe have a recap. Everyone can do their own little podcast afterwards. They can talk about their favorite songs, what the set list was. The last early concert I went to like that, and in my head, I would think there's at least maybe a generational difference between these two shows. But we went with my mother-in-law. She got us tickets to see Hall & Oates probably 6 or 7 years ago at the Moda. It was awesome. I think it started at 4. It got
really?
It got over at 6. I mean, it was I think it was on a Saturday.
Yeah.
When you come out of a long movie and you're just shocked that it's light out.
Yeah.
You're just like, something happened here. Like this isn't right. Like that's kind of what it was like coming out of a concert where your ears are ringing a little bit and it's
still daylight.
Still daylight out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great show though. I enjoyed it.
And let me tell you, Darius Rucker still got it.
Does he?
Still got it. Still hit all the notes. Still dropped a Hold My Hand, Let Her Cry. Did it all. It was awesome.
If you only
But I was like, am I clearly I am now in the demographic of like, these people want their concert early. And I do, but I don't also like that I'm in that demographic. So I had a little personal, conflict. But I still think old guy in me won because super happy that the 9:30 concert was over. It was a good show.
Yeah. Was that at Matthew Knight?
It was.
Okay. I haven't been to a show there yet.
It's actually kind of fun. It's one of the few places where I think like getting regular seats as opposed to being like on the floor, because you've seen how it's it's super like I think you're closer to the stage
if you're
in the 100 level than if you're actually on the floor. Because it was me and there was Hootie just singing his heart out.
Do you call him Hootie? Do you call him Mr. Blowfish?
I call him Darius. Call him Hootie. Yeah. Flip back and forth.
Dare Bear. No.
They thought that was the funniest joke probably back in like 1989 when they're like, dude, let's just call our band Hootie and the Blowfish. And they're playing little bars in South Carolina. Little did they know by 1994, everybody's going to call you Hootie.
I went to Home Depot today.
Tell me more. Speaking of things that I've embraced my age, I love Home Depot.
One, what's a better walk into a place experience? The smell you get from a hardware store or the smell you get from a good restaurant?
Oh, hardware store by far.
I
hardware store by
agree.
far. Like a mix of like rubber hose and fertilizer
and like sawdust.
Yeah.
And there's just like this hint of I could do this. Because I'm not a man, Justin. I'm close. Like I've checked a lot of the boxes, but some of like the complete ones just aren't quite there. So I still get pretty insecure when you go to a Home Depot. And so it was my wife and I. We went in today. We just needed to get one thing. It was just we're replacing the latches on our outdoor gate doors. Mm-hmm. Haven't had to do that there before. I don't quite know where this part is, but also it's just one thing. It's small enough. Yeah. It didn't quite meet my quota of I'm going to ask somebody. It's just I'm going to go find this myself. It's just one thing. It took a little bit of time. We eventually came around to it, but I was wondering like what's your approach to what line has to cross before you go and ask for help? Yeah,
much further away than my wife is comfortable with.
Yeah.
Because I do not ask for help. It feels like a failure of the day.
Because she was saying like we could go ask somebody, and my response was we could, but
so I am going to find it.
We would walk by a person, and I'd kind of be like, "There's your opportunity." But yeah,
it drives my wife absolutely bananas. I hate asking. I do. I don't. It's this stupid guy in me, but I hate. So
I get far more frustrated or far more insecure with the Home Depot ask than if you go into like a Best Buy. In Best Buy, you walk in, you're not looking to buy anything, and 10 employees come and they just hound you. Like, can I help you with something? Like, I don't need help with anything at Best Buy. I know exactly how those ones and zeros work. So I'm good with the digital stuff. At Home Depot, they can smell it on you. They just go like, this guy has no idea. He's looking around. He's not walking with intention.
How many laps are we going to let him take?
Exactly.
Before and nothing.
They got guys in the back betting. They
they got a pool. Yeah. So here's what I do. I love Home Depot. Mm-hmm. Give them a free shout out. They're so much so that I have the Home Depot app.
Ooh.
And when you get the Home Depot app, Tyson, here's what you can do. You can plug in your hometown, your local Home Depot, the one you are going to.
Your depot.
And then before you go, you put what you're looking for. And it tells you exactly what aisle and what bay. So you can walk in full of confidence. Can I help you? No, sir. Aisle 4, bay 38. That's where I'm going.
It's going to be great when we all have chips in our heads and you walk in and it has like the turn-by-turn directions, but then you get stuck on a pop-up ad behind your...
Yeah, and then the X is like really, really small.
Yeah.
Yep. Or like when you scroll down and then the video scrolls like, oh, get out of this video, and then the video drops down. It's like, come on now. But yeah, no, I pre-plan my Home Depot visits to know exact aisle and bay where said item is going to be, because I, like you, do not want to ask.
But we got what we needed. Actually, we got more than what we needed. We installed a dog door recently. Okay. So the dog has free reign now, but I picked up a camera to stick on the outside just to make sure there's no other critters getting out. So yeah, I got some handyman stuff to do this afternoon before I think it's a 5 a.m. flight to Pittsburgh on Friday morning.
There we go.
I haven't done that in a while. Like that'll
be 5 a.m. flight?
Well, just the whole, for the corridor, I traveled to like the big game every year. It was generally in the playoffs, and now it's getting back to doing the leave Friday, come back Sunday, work a whole lot in between. And I have a fair amount of drives. I'm flying in and staying in Pittsburgh, which is like a 2-hour drive. And
Are you gonna do the sandwich?
Oh yeah.
Are you gonna get the Permanente Brothers sandwich?
Yeah, absolutely. My flight on Sunday isn't until like 6 p.m. So I'm going to eat so much food. I'm going to Penguins preseason hockey game Friday night. Okay. My hotel's right next to it, and then I might watch a football game on Saturday.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Very jealous.
But I'll probably have to drink some coffee before I wake up on Friday. Do you have any suggestions on what that coffee should be?
I mean, Water Street Coffee Company. And
well, first of all, it's Water Avenue.
Water Avenue, that as well. Don't go to Water Street. That won't be a...
No, Water Street, they're bad.
Water Avenue.
Water Avenue, that's where the caffeine's at, baby.
What is it? Corridor 10?
So if you go to OregonDucksCoffee.com, you can see their various different blends. If you use discount code Corridor10, you can get 10% off your order. If you want to find it in stores, it's at New Seasons, Market of Choice, Roth's Fresh Market, and Zupan's Market.
And talk about a win-win.
Win-win.
Because you can help Oregon NIL.
You can help us.
And then you can help this podcast as well.
And you can help the coffee
And you can help
too,
the Water Avenue Coffee Company.
Win. Saturday.
Make it 4.
Make it 4. Win. We'll talk to you guys next week.